City building sims aren't really something I play very often. Yeah, I know, this is coming from the guy who just reviewed Nelke and the Legendary Alchemist, the Atelier town building sim, less than a month ago. But that aside, the genre just isn't something that I get into very often. The slower pace, the strategy, just a lot about it is one of those I have to be in the mood for this sort of thing to really get into it. Of course, a few things can sway me to do so. Today's review is actually a request from a couple friends of mine in real life who play this particular sim game both on the Switch and on the PS4. Possibly one of the most successful recent city building games brought to the handheld world, here is my review of Cities Skylines Nintendo Switch Edition. When it comes to gameplay, Cities Skylines is a town building simulator, or more accurately, a city building simulator. As you play through the game, you're going to be building a town and city from the ground up, making residential areas, commercial areas, and industrial areas, all while handling the management of both all of this area, its resources, and your own funds and resources to keep the city growing. Before we talk about the bulk of the game, there are two differences between the Nintendo Switch Edition and the PC, PS4, and Xbox One editions that we need to go over. The first one's a pretty big one that a lot of people have talked about: missing content. Cities Skylines Nintendo Switch Edition comes with the base game along with 2 DLC packs, After Dark and Snowfall. These are built into the game, and if you check the eShop, none of the other DLC is available for purchase. All of the new stuff like natural disasters, the radio, all of the new traffic enhancements, none of them were included in the Switch release, and according to the developer that brought it over, they don't seem very willing to bring that content to the handheld world. Put simply, handheld fans are not getting that extra DLC. Probably not ever. Now on the flip side, the content you're getting is actually a better price than on other consoles. On the Switch, you're paying $40 for the base package plus 2 expansions. If you go to the PS4 version, you're paying the same price for the base game and only the After Dark DLC. Now, I'm not saying saving $13 is worth not ever getting all of that extra DLC, but at least they threw us a bone. The second difference is the fact that the Nintendo Switch version is the only version of Cities Skylines, to my knowledge, that has an in-game tutorial. The PC, PS4, and Xbox One versions of the game are extremely confusing because they've got a lot of complicated systems, and they don't explain how to do any of them. Thankfully, there is a 30-minute tutorial in the Switch version that teaches you the basics of making residential, industrial, and commercial districts, as well as how to supply them with electricity and water. Now let's get into how the game is played. This isn't a typical you have a story campaign game, and even the tutorial doesn't give you a goal. It just tells you how to do basic stuff and then lets you go on your own. Your quote-unquote goal in this game is pretty simple. Create a successful city that is constantly growing and constantly getting money. How you do this is pretty simple, at least at first. You build roads and make districts, specifically residential, commercial, and industrial ones. Residential attracts people to live in your city, industrial gives those people jobs and creates products, and commercial allows people to sell those products to get money back for the city. And of course, every time you make a new area or district, you have to supply them with electricity and water by use of power lines and water pipes. This doesn't sound too difficult, but once you start increasing your population, you're going to hit milestones, which are campaign-like challenges that unlock new things for you to do and new things for you to manage. And this is where the game starts to feel like it actually does have a campaign or a goal. There are over a dozen milestones, and all of them unlock new stuff for you to deal with. At the start of the game, you don't have to worry about educated workers or crime rates or fires, but as soon as you get schools available, businesses need educated workers. As soon as you get a police station, holy crap, crime rates are going crazy. As soon as you get a fire station, oh my gosh, everything's on fire. So as you go through the game and unlock all of this new stuff, the depth of the game slowly increases, and that increases the difficulty as well, because the more stuff you have, the more stuff you have to manage and watch out for, making this a surprisingly complex and in-depth game. Especially considering you can't just place every facility anywhere you want. You have to put them in the right places. You can't put a bunch of huge wind turbines right next to a residential area because the noise pollution is going to make the people sick. There are a lot of small details here that make this a challenging game, but a really nice one because of how much attention to detail there is here. And of course, with all the milestones available, there's a lot of content here. Raising one city through all of the milestones should take you no less than 20 to 25 hours. So even though we're missing a bunch of DLC, there's still a good amount of content here. Now let's dive into presentation. Graphically, it's definitely less optimized than the other versions of the game. When you zoom in, there's a lot less detail, and a lot of the building models have a good amount of blur to them. and there are a good amount of frame drops as you play through the game. But this is mostly when you're zoomed in all the way. If you're zoomed out and working, you're probably not going to hit frame drops really that often, at least until your population hits about 100,000. That's when there are too many resources for the Switch to handle in a smooth way. Although that's not without sacrifice. If you've ever researched the PC version of the game, if your PC has low specs, the high-speed feature of the game will limit itself when it's got too many resources to run smoothly on your system. This is built into the Switch version as well. When your population reaches the 15 and 20,000 mark, you're going to lose the ability for 3 times maximum speed. It's going to go down to 2 times maximum speed because of this feature. Just know that going in, because I was used to maximum speed for hours of the game, and when it limited me to 2 times speed, it made a really big difference in how the pacing felt. And now let's dive into battery life, which is a little bit higher because of how the game looks, but not a ton higher. City Skylines has a battery range of 2 hours and 56 minutes on high settings, up to 3 hours and 16 minutes on low settings. Now, in conclusion, City Skylines is on handhelds with the same feel and experience as it is on consoles, at least when it comes to the base game. Now, the downside, all of the missing content and the fact that we're not getting it is a huge bummer, and the performance and presentation of this game definitely have a few blemishes. But if you want a good city building sim on your Switch, this is still a fun game to play in your spare time. Reviews to Go rates Cities Skylines Nintendo Switch Edition a 7 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.